What's in my camera bag 2021? Just like last year, it doesn't seem like we're gonna be traveling a whole lot, and I've cut back on a lot of my client work, so I'm not like taking my gear places that often. But if I did, I would use this bag from BagSmart. It's not amazing. I don't know if I would recommend it. I actually want to get a new bag, but I'm currently using this one from BagSmart. So this year, since we're not doing a whole lot of traveling or a whole lot of client work, I figured I would just let you guys see what gear I typically use to make my YouTube videos. If I were to actually use this bag though, here's a couple things that I always take with me when I travel. This is a little rain cover from Peak Design. You never know when it's gonna rain. Especially in the colder months, I always take gloves because I get cold. I always need a wrist strap. I have this maybe irrational fear that I'm just gonna let go of my camera for no reason. Just boop, let go. So wrist strap, I always need one of these. Inside of this little couch, I always keep a battery bank, a couple of spare batteries, one of these little things, wires of course, more stuff to clean your lenses, and wipes for your lenses. This little accessory pouch, it lives like in the front, and this is where all of like the batteries and maintenance and stuff goes. All right, so my microphone of choice is the DEITY D3 Pro. These dead cats are amazing, by the way. You can get the kit with the dead cat, and I would highly recommend it. You're listening to the D3 Pro right now because I had to get two of these because I use two cameras. But this one has the nice yellow cable. I'm a really big fan of DEITY, but they did do something weird with this updated version. Because I got my first one a couple years ago and I just got one in. So with their new updated version, it doesn't turn off after 15 minutes. That was something that I really liked on the original one. It would turn off after 15 minutes. You can have it on, it'll just automatically turn on and off depending on if your camera was on and off. But if it detected that 15 minutes went by that your camera did not go on, it would just turn off completely. And now, the newer version doesn't do that. It just stays on all the time, which on the one hand is good because when you want to sporadically get a shot, you're gonna have audio. But on the other hand, when you don't know this, your microphone's always gonna be dead. Regardless, I really love DEITY. I'm a fanboy, I'll admit it. Let's just start off at the really, really boring stuff. Filters. I have this case from Polar Pro that is supposed to hold 6 different filters, but I jammed all my rings in here too. If you didn't already know about step-up rings, they are essential because you can only buy one filter size and then just adapt it to the different size lenses that you have, saving a lot of money. So grab you some step-up rings. These are the filters that I use most often. These are the TIFFEN Black Pro Mist. I have a 1/4 and a 1/8. I always have the 1/8 on. I got the 1/4 just because I didn't know how strong of an intensity I wanted, but now that I know, I'll pretty much never use the 1/4 unless I want like a stylized look, but I always have the 1/8 on. And of course you have to have NDs. It took me a long time to get NDs because I'm never filming outside in the sunlight, but when I finally started to do that, I grabbed some NDs and they make such a big difference. They're really essential. These ones happen to be the first edition Peter McKinnon ones. If I were to film more outdoors, I would definitely get the version 2s with the Pro Mist built in, but NDs are such an essential if you're outside in the daytime. Some more boring stuff. I've been using the SMALLHD Focus 5 a lot, and I've been pairing it with this core battery built specifically for them. It makes it like super thick, but the battery lasts forever. It makes it a lot heavier, Jesus. I pretty much always have this on my camera. I used to use a 7-inch monitor, but when you're just vlogging or filming yourself, you're just out there in the world. A 5-inch is so much more convenient. So I've started to use the 5-inch a lot more. A couple more boring items before we get into the exciting things. A switch pod. If you've watched my challenge videos, then you'll notice a lot of like the shakiness, and that's just because I'm holding the camera like this. I've got a switch pod. It took a minute. Again, this is another one of those things that I just didn't have a use for before, but since I'm starting to incorporate more vlog-ish content with the challenge videos, getting out into like the real world, having a like reliable way to hold my camera out. This thing is made of metal and my camera is $3,000. Yeah. Oh, I also have this MANFROTTO head on here. It's the 494 and it pairs very well with my favorite tripod. Well, speaking of tripods, this is my favorite tripod right now. It's one of the MANFROTTO BEFREE models. So you'll notice that I have the same head on here that I do on my tripod. And this is the tripod that I'm gonna be taking everywhere that I travel with. This is my vlogging setup, so it only makes sense that the heads themselves match. That way I can easily transfer from here to here and back to here. It makes my life easy. And the heads are only like $90, I wanna say. So that way you're not just switching base plates all day long. But this is my absolute favorite tripod right now. It has locking legs. The ball head is just so powerful. The ball head is like so strong. There's so much good about this tripod. It wasn't too expensive, but the only thing I will say is that it's not tall enough. Sometimes I have to bend down a little bit or point the camera up, but that's my only gripe about this. Other than that, I really like this tripod. I feel so stupid because I didn't know that Manfrotto had like affordable tripods. I always thought of them as being like super expensive. But getting into some of the more fun things, this is the gimbal that I use if I ever need to use a gimbal. This is the Weeble S. Y'all know this, it's been out for a minute. I have this little handle right here, as well as this handle right here, and a mounting spot right there so I can put my monitor. I don't really use gimbals all too often. I think that's gonna change though. I have somebody that is gonna help me film now, so when I'm out and about, they can use the gimbal. But when I'm doing like studio stuff like this, I don't find that I'm using a gimbal all too often. So that's why I haven't been too pressed to get the new DJI gimbals that just came out. But this one does what I need it to do, and I already have it, so I don't have to spend any more money. So right now I'm using the Weeble S. You might have noticed some drone shots in some recent videos, and that is courtesy of this. This is the MAVIC Air 2. It is really small and it's okay. I don't have a lot of experience with drones, so I don't know how this like really matches up with all of the other drones in their lineup. It does all right for me. It's not the best thing in low light. I feel like its range could be a little bit better. You know, I don't use drones all too often, so for the rare instances that I do use a drone, it works completely fine for me. Finally, getting into the more spicy stuff. So like I said, I'm gonna be having someone help me film, which means that I need 2 cameras. If you've been following my channel for a while, then you already know that I have the Sony A7Siii and I match these with the Sigma lenses for APS-C. So I have the 16, the 30, and the 56, but depending on what we're filming in the future, I might need to change that. I might want to get the 16 to 55 again, but regardless, I have the A7Siii with the cage from SMALLHD. In my upcoming challenge videos, if you see me personally holding a camera, it's probably going to be this one. Just imagine this camera right on there. I went through a lot of cameras in 2020 and I finally settled on one that I think is pretty good. So this is the Sony A7S Mark III. It's my favorite camera that I think I've ever had. I have a SMALLHD cage on it just to add like some protection and mounting points and stuff. I think I've had it long enough to do an actual review on it, and I'm gonna be putting it up against a couple other cameras pretty soon. The only issue is that the A7S III is kind of expensive and I didn't have a lot of money left over to invest in like nice, good G Master lenses. So what I went with was the Sony 20mm f1.8. It has a G, but it's not like G Master. I was trying to get something as close as I could to the 16 to 35, so this 20mm focal length really was the widest thing that I could get, and having that f1.8 just, I love this lens so far, but I don't think it's gonna last until my next what's in my bag video. I have my eyes on that new 35mm, and I would actually really like a 16 to 35 still. So that's all of the gear that I'm using in 2021. My goal is to have all new gear by the next year. If everything goes correct, I'm gonna be able to give out a lot of gear to you, and I'm gonna be able to upgrade a lot of gear for me. Maybe we get some Sony A1s, maybe we get some cinema cameras, I don't know. But hopefully next year we have really expensive cameras. I know the A7S III is expensive, but I'm talking like 10 grand expensive. And like 2 of them. That's my goal. Let me know what videos you guys want to see next, and that's about it. All right? All right.